We're rolling into week 15. We're making start-sit decisions. We're picking guys up off the waiver wire. We're trying to get by to the next round of the playoffs. But the thing is, we got a young running back prospect here that's earning more opportunity by the week. He should be already rostered. But we got to deep dive him here today, and that's Sincere McCormick of the Raiders. We haven't yet, and I should have already, but we're going to break him down today so you get a good idea of what you're getting out of Sincere McCormick so you can plan around him for the future because he should already be picked up. If not, you may want to think about it after watching this video. But before we dig in, you need to click that subscribe button right now because we do deep dives every day. Multiple videos a day, deep diving these players. We're going deep on the waiver wire. We're helping you set your lineups with the must-start series. And then we keep going deep in the off season. Click that subscribe button right now. Stop missing out. Ric Flair, the one and only, is watching you. You do not want to disappoint him. But we're going to start things off. And we got Antonio Pierce in the house. Because we got some confirmation to look at here. Because there's some stuff going on with Sincere McCormick. We were wondering whether or not he was going to get messed with. Whether it's going to be a committee. Whether he was going to get the touches. However, we got some confirmation right now. Pretty huge for us.
Going back to the Sincere keep the job then if Alex is back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he deserved it. He's run the last 3 games, run his tail off. So keep running, keep pushing those numbers up, see if we can get him to 100.
He's very reliable in the media, especially when he's talking about his players per coach speak. And on top of that, you listen to him talk week in and week out in these press conferences about these players. He's pretty straightforward, pretty reliable, and he did earn it. And like I've been saying throughout the waiver wire videos and other content, whenever I bring up Sincere McCormick, the other running backs didn't do enough to be undeniable. Even Alexander Madison had some good weeks for fantasy football. It wasn't like he was undeniable out there. Sincere McCormick is doing some good things on the field. He's proving himself. He's ramping up. He's not all world yet, maybe, to stay positive, but he's doing some good things. This is a running back at least root for. 2 at least root for. In week 13 against the Chiefs, 12 carries, 64 yards, 5.3 yards per carry. Doesn't sound much, but that's the Chiefs. They lock down running backs. They stuff running backs. They are running back killers. The next week, last week, against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 15 carries, 78 yards, 3 targets, 2 balls caught, 11 yards. We're getting that work. We're getting that volume. Back-to-back games with over 5 yards per carry. Technically 3, but there's only 5 carries there against Denver. However, Denver defense is nasty. So, back-to-back nasty defense is getting a good yards per clip there. Doing all right. He's doing all right. Good vision, good wiggle, good size to him. Going back to where he was at UTSA, playing in Conference USA, back-to-back years of 1,400 yards, 11 touchdowns in 2020, and 2021, 15 touchdowns. A nose for the end zone, very efficient with the ball in his hands, 2.53 yards after contact per attempt back in 2021, 3.08 on his career, creating missed tackles. You're looking at a very good running back prospect from the G5 level who has some upside to his game that a lot of us who play campus to campus, Devy leagues, that were rostering him, hoarding him because of this production, because of his draft portfolio. He went undrafted though, 5'8", 205, 4.6, 40-yard dash. Nothing really to write home about. Just a good, stable running back prospect. A good dude to pay attention to through the system. However, we eventually land with the Raiders, and this year we're starting to get things done. 3 games here. 175 yards, 5.5 yards per carry. Alexander Madison has been banged up. Zamir White has been banged up. Amir Abdullah has been all right in his own right. He's been all right, but he's not a pounder between the tackles. He's not a guy that's going to carry the load for multiple games. He's good in the passing game. He's very electric. Him mixed with Sincere McCormick's pretty good. Alexander Madison's, though, he's back. He's back. But McCormick, these 3 games, 3.3 PPR fantasy points, 8.5 against Kansas City, 10.9. 8.5 against the Chiefs, sharing the backfield. Pretty solid, though. Pretty solid, though. There's a lot of good running backs that can't do that. There's a lot of good ones, let alone playing on the Raiders in that bad quarterback play. We're looking at what's coming up here for the Raiders for fantasy football terms. This week's matchup isn't that great. It's not. We got one of the best defenses when it comes to stopping running backs from fantasy production. This might be a questionable move for you. This might be a hard start for you to make. But the thing about him is we got the Jaguars coming up next week, 12-22, and running backs can score points in bunches. Earlier this season, they were top 5 in points allowed to running backs. Now they dropped to 12th in the rankings, averaging 22.5 PPR points per game. There's some opportunity there. After that, we got the Saints, and we got a quarterback issue now. Jake Hayner's starting, maybe starting in 2 weeks from now. Maybe they shut down Carr. I do not know. I'm not projecting or anything like that or predicting or anything, but something to pay attention to. And if that happens, that's going to change the flow of games. Pay attention to the Saints going forward. That might be an advantageous situation. Then you got the Chargers. Depending on how deep you're going into playoffs, how deep your championship game is, Chargers, 23.4 PPR fantasy points per game. That Jaguars game, I'm looking at that heavy. And I'm hoping he keeps his job after this week so we can run nuts against the Jaguars. So we can definitely do that because there's some opportunity there. That's why I would want him. I'm looking at that game, especially if I'm really pushing my RB2 and I have to go through another week where I could endure an injury at the running back position. I got this Jaguars matchup in my back pocket. I got it right here. Just in case one of my 2 running backs go down that I'm using every week, I got this Jaguars matchup in my pocket going into week 16. And I may need that. I might need that. So I'm stashing. Even if he does bad against the Falcons, I'm watching him throughout the week because if he keeps his role and I'm banged up at running back, or if I got to make that play, I got that against the Jaguars. However, this week it's going to be a rough one. He's ranked RB27 for 4 for 4. Very reliable rankings. They are off sometimes. They do miss sometimes. I can definitely tell you that. They're not perfect. However, when you're looking at him versus Brian Robinson, Aaron Jones, Alvin Kamara, who would you rather have? James Cook, Jonathan Taylor? You can't really go him versus Niners backs. Tyrone Tracy or him. I mean, objectively, you can make a play for that. Rashad White, I don't know. I like his volume and his work in the passing game. Tank Bigsby, Bucky Irving. Bucky Irving's questionable. A healthy Bucky Irving, I'm taking 100% every day over Sincere McCormick. Then you're looking at Gus Edwards after that, Travis Etienne. That being said, Sincere McCormick's going to be a hard guy to start this week unless you're banged up. And if you're looking at running backs from like, I don't know, Najee Harris and down on this list, it's a coin flip. And honestly, you're just hoping one of these guys crosses the end zone. And maybe you get lucky on that. But again, that's how it is. And if you ask me start-sit questions in the comments here, I'm probably going to give you something along those lines, like a coin flip. I'd probably go this guy, go off your gut, something like that. But honestly, around that, I think Isaiah Pacheco against the Browns, I'd roll with that. They got him ranked 1 spot ahead. I'd roll with Pacheco. That's what I'm meaning. I'm looking at some of these other guys. It's a coin flip, though. All in all, when you're looking at straight-up results and starting a player, totally different things. Starting a player, sometimes you're just looking at the situation. You're like, he's a little safer, but this other guy's got more upside, and then situations in the game is going to dictate things. That being said, Sincere McCormick, this is a rough matchup for him. He could get you a baseline of 10 to 12 PPR fantasy points. That could potentially happen, but it's a rough matchup. On top of that, Alexander Madison is back. They did say Sincere McCormick's going to roll. They said he's going to get those opportunities, but Alexander Madison is back. Buyer beware on that. We do not know 100% if he's going to get messed with or see a little reduction in touches. They did say that in the press conference that he's good to roll, but how much? How much? Pay attention to that going forward. I do like the Jaguars matchups, though. I do like that 2 weeks from now. Alexander Madison has been productive off and on for fantasy football, but he's not a world beater. He hasn't been a world beater. He hasn't been undeniable. He's had some okay performances when it comes to voluming into fantasy production, but still, Alexander Madison, buyer beware. You don't need him because this is a rough matchup. You're good at running back. You're good at running back. You're not going to play around with your lineup just to put him in just because he's supposed to get more touches. He's not guaranteed to blow up the box score. He's not guaranteed to get you past 10 PPR fantasy points. He could. He's in that 10 to 12 range right now, but that matchup is rough. And if you're good at running back, don't mess around with what got you here. You need him. You need the touches. You need the touches. He is a touch merchant right now. If you need a touch merchant this week, Sincere McCormick is a guy to look at. If you need a guy rolling with touches, getting you more than 4.5 yards per carry for sure, more than 5 right now, then go ahead. Rough matchup, buyer beware on that, because I can't guarantee you anything. I can't even guarantee you the touches, but it sounds like in the media he's going to get that. But Sincere McCormick is a guy to watch. I do like that Jaguars matchup. If something happens to your running backs, hold on to Sincere McCormick, even if he runs bad. He might run good enough to keep his job and have a good matchup against Jacksonville Jaguars, and you might need that. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Make sure to hit that subscribe button on the way out. Thank you for watching. Catch you on the next video.